Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today we will be building an iron farm. Now there are a few unique features about this iron farm. Most iron farms on the Bedrock version have to be like 100 blocks up in the air so that the iron golems don't spawn outside of the farm. A nice feature about this one is it doesn't matter whether it's placed on the ground or 100 blocks in the air, the golems will not spawn outside of the farm. Another nice feature about this farm is it comes with a built-in villager trading hall, so you can fill every single one of these slots with a villager of your choice, and you can trade with them. They can be librarians, farmers, it doesn't matter what type of villager it is. Another nice feature is even though 20 villagers are usually the max number of villagers that you have in an iron farm, this one can hold more than 20 villagers, and should you end up having more than 20 villagers, any extra beds you can just stick inside the farm, which is where the iron collection will be. This farm will make you about 400 iron an hour, so that is pretty good. It'll make you just over 6 stacks of iron every hour. Leave your computer on overnight, or Xbox, PlayStation, depending on what you're playing on, and you should come back into the morning with about a double chest of iron. One other feature about this farm, while we have the villagers on the outside here, you can invert this whole thing and stick your villagers on the inside of the farm. It just depends on your preference. I think this way it looks much cleaner though. But that is all the details of this farm out of the way. For your use, there will be a materials list containing every item I use to build this farm here, down in the description. And with that information now out of the way, let's get into the tutorial. Alright guys, so the first thing you're going to want to do when it comes to building your iron farm is lay out the framework. So to do that, we are going to place 17 blocks in a straight line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Now, what we're going to do is remove every other blocks, leaving the corner. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you should have 8 gaps of air between 9 blocks. So then what you're going to want to do is place another block just adjacent to where the block is right now. So basically skipping the corner. And what you're going to want to do is go down 17 more blocks, leaving a block of air every other block. So block, gap, 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 block. So now you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 spaces of air once again. And what you're going to do is repeat that 2 more times to fill in the other 2 sides of this box. So now you should have something that looks a little bit like this. It is a 17 by 17 box, missing the corners, and it is missing a block every other block. So now what we're going to do is we are going to come to the center on one of the sides, remove one of the blocks so you have a 3-block area, and we are going to place a little wall area here, and this is going to be where your door goes to access the interior of your iron farm, where the iron collection will be. Now what we're going to do is take every single one of these blocks up 1 more so that they are 2 tall. Now that that is done, we are going to place 2 tall pillars behind every block of air. Now these gaps are going to end up being your villager cells, and that is where your villagers are going to be sitting. Now what we're going to do is put a solid block above every single gap. Now you could just make this 1 straight line of blocks, or you could go every other like I am. It is entirely up to you. The purpose of these blocks is going to be preventing the villagers from jumping out of their cell. When you get to the door, you can just go 3 blocks like so, or you can go no blocks. It is up to you. And what you're going to end up with is something that looks a little bit like this. Now what we can do is go up 1 more and add a solid straight line of blocks above every other block. Now you can still continue to leave out the corner block that is not needed. It is once again a design choice. So you should end up with something that looks just like this. Now what we're going to do is fill in the entire upper layer of solid blocks. You're going to want to find the center 3x3, which should be 7 blocks away from the walls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And if we go back to the side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, we have 3 blocks in the middle. Now let's repeat these steps on the other 2 walls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, leaving us these 2 blocks here. So this plus sign is going to be the center 3x3. So now what we're going to want to do is fill in this entire 4th layer of solid blocks, leaving the 3x3 remaining, so it will just be a 3x3 hole in the center of this platform. Pause the video and come back once you are finished with this step. Alright, so now that that entire upper layer is solid blocks, you should have something that looks just like this, with a center 3x3 hole where that plus sign was. Now what we're going to do is on that very top layer, where you now have a platform, we're going to add the corner blocks 1 up, just like so in every single corner. The corner block is going to be for our water source to sit on. Now that your corner blocks are all in, it is time to add the barrier of leaves to prevent the water from flowing everywhere. So what you can do is grab your leaves, and we are just going to outline the entire thing, just like so. And when it comes to the corners, just go up by 1 block on either side of it, and then you can go back down. So now that all your leaves are in, we can add the water. Grab your water buckets, and what you're going to do is place a water in each corner, just like so, so every single corner has a water bucket in it. Now what you're going to do is from your water sources, you are going to skip a block, and then fill in the entire side length with water sources. Skip a block, and then you will have the water source again. You have to be sure that you don't fill in the block right next to your water source. If you fill this in, your entire upper area is just going to become water sources, and you're going to have to drain it all and start over. Now that all the water is in properly, you should see that it all stops just at the edge of your 3x3 hole in the center. Now what we're going to do is add the killing chamber for the iron golems. So you can grab your blocks to build that out of, remove the plus sign, and let's get building. So what you're going to do is go down into your 3x3, and you're going to come down on all the edges by 2 blocks. These don't have to be glass blocks, they can just be any type of block, but I'm using glass because I think it looks nice. Now what you're going to do is fill in the floor with any type of block, leaving 1 corner block missing. You are going to dig down by 1 here, and then 2 blocks here, like so. You may need to remove the blocks above your head. You can place in your double chest here, and a hopper right behind it. Now that hopper should be where that 1 hole in your floor is missing inside the killing chamber. We will place a campfire here in that hole. We are actually going to add 2 more blocks right around that hole though, so that stray cats don't end up running out of it. Now place a sign right above your campfire, and place a water bucket in the corner opposite that campfire, so it flows everything towards the campfire like so. Now what we're going to do is grab our signs again. We are going to place one in the center of each 3x3 area of the floor that the water is sitting on. Then what we're going to do is grab 2 more signs, go below one of those signs, and place 1, and then place another sign on the one you just placed. Now that sign in the center, you can place a bucket of lava on. Now when the iron golems fall in the hole, their heads will be in the lava, they will burn and their items will get pushed into the campfire, which will get picked up by the hopper below it. Now our kill chamber is done. The entire frame of the iron farm is constructed. It is time to add the villagers and the beds. So for our first villager, what we're going to do is go to the leaf barrier, find go to one of the sides in the center lined up with the lava, and build a small little villager holding cell, just like so. Be sure to add a roof on it. This does not have to be built out of leaves, but I do recommend it to prevent mobs from spawning on it. Now what you're going to want to do is make sure that there is water inside of it, just like so. You can replace one of the blocks with a workstation, and now get your villager inside of there. Now this is going to be the villager that sees the beds, so that all these villagers down here are capable of linking to them. Without this villager, the entire farm does not work. So now what we're going to do is come over to our 3x3 hole, go up by 3 blocks, and place 1 block just above the lava source, like so. What you're going to do is come out from that block by 3 in every direction, so you have a giant plus sign. Now fill it in, and this is where all your beds are going to go. You can remove the 3x3, and now you have a ring. This ring is going to be where all your beds go. You are going to need 20 beds. I recommend that the first bed you place is a different color from all of the others, so that you know which villager is linked to it. For me, I'm going to have 1 red bed and all the others white, so I know that this one villager up here is the one that is linked to the red bed. He is the center of the village now. Now, before we place in the other beds, I recommend you get your other 19 villagers in first, because otherwise the beds get a little mixed up and weird, and you have to break them all and kind of place them in again. So we're going to get in the villagers first. Now, to get the villagers in, you're going to need water, your trapdoors, and your workstation. You are going to want to place the workstation 1 block away from the cell, so that the villager can go in here. You're going to want to place a water bucket in his feet to ensure that he doesn't unlink from this workstation and everything becomes a mess. And then you don't have to, but I recommend putting a trapdoor in his face like so. So whenever you're not trading with the villager, you can close it and prevent it from dying to a zombie. Now you're going to have to repeat this step 18 more times. I suggest you pause the video, get the rest of your villagers in, and come back once that is finished. Alright guys, so now that all of your villagers are in their little cells, they have water in their feet, and they are linked to the workstation in front of them, it is time to place in the beds for the rest of your villagers. If you only have a total of 20 villagers, you will only need the 19 more beds up here. But like I've said before, if you have extra, don't forget to place a bed inside the farm, otherwise it will not work. But basically, you can just spam down 19 more beds on this little donut we have built up here, and villagers should just link to every single bed eventually. Once all the beds are in place, you can just remove the blocks below them, so you will end up with a ring of 20 floating beds. Now that those beds are in, the farm is complete. And now that the farm is complete, it should start working, which we know it is because I see cats spawning. Cats indicate that there is a village here, so hopefully any second now we should see an iron golem spawn. It shouldn't take too long, but depending on your luck, it could take a little while. The longest I've had to wait before is anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes. However, yep, there one is. Usually they spawn in very quickly. Look at that. Our iron farm is now working, and within the next hour I will have 6 and a bit stacks of iron to my name. Anyway guys, I sure hope you have enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, do be sure to subscribe and hit the little bell down below. Share it around with your friends so that they too can build their own iron farms. If you are interested in villager tech, Tomorrow there will be a video coming out on villager-powered crop farms. Anyway guys, this has been Mr. Gaming Aquatic, and I will see you next time. Bye!